Well, hello, this is Pamela Bird, your boundaries coach, and let's talk boundaries, shall we? Today, I want to talk to you about 5 common myths that people have about healthy boundaries. Today, I want to talk to you about 5 common myths because over the past couple months, I've noticed that people are seeing boundaries as something as they are not. There's a difference between healthy boundaries and unhealthy boundaries. And I have found that many people are using unhealthy boundaries, and then they're surprised when people don't honor their boundaries. They're also surprised when they still feel a little uncomfortable setting boundaries or even uncomfortable having the communication about those boundaries. So today we're going to talk about 5 myths that people believe about what healthy boundaries really are. So you ready to get into it? Before we get started, make sure you're subscribing to this channel because I wouldn't want you to miss any of the information that I share with you on this podcast to help you to understand where boundaries are needed and where they may not be. So, that first myth about boundaries is that they have to be harsh, they have to be huge, they have to just be at the point where they're really dramatic. They don't have to be. Boundaries can be very subtle. And the biggest thing is people react in order to set a boundary instead of responding. And there lies the difference between a healthy boundary and an unhealthy boundary. When someone reacts to a situation and they speak and they believe it's a boundary, it's really not a boundary. It's just drama. And in order to eliminate that, you want to make sure that you take the time to set the boundary that needs to be set. A lot of times people think they have to be really bold in saying it, and they really don't. So that's part of that first myth. You do not have to be bold in saying it, but you do have to make sure that you are thinking it through and speaking it, communicating it in a way that it is heard correctly. That makes it a healthy boundary. Let me give you an example. Let's say someone is making a comment to you that you don't particularly care for. Even before they even finish the sentence, we may feel like we have to interject and say something, right? Well, that interjection is based on our emotion. What we should do is make sure we allow that person to finish their sentence. We step back and we pause, and then we come back and we make a statement about whether or not that was something that was acceptable to us or not. The object of stepping back is to make sure, first of all, that you've heard it clearly, and secondly, to make sure that you're not reacting based on emotion. Here's another thing you can do. You can ask them to clarify what it is that they said or what they meant about what they said. That not only gives you time to think about your response, not a reaction, but it also makes sure that you are clear on the comment and what was meant by the comment that was made to you. And remember, sometimes the people that we're talking to have no idea how reactionary they are being, how manipulative they are being, or that they're just not being nice. They're not being kind. Because of their own emotional stability or where they are, they might even not even realize it. And it may be something that they're used to doing, used to getting away with when they're talking to other people. So for you, just understand that this boundary that you're setting based on this first myth is that you don't have to be loud, you don't have to be bold, you don't have to be outrageous. You just be quiet. And how do you do that? By making sure that you have not allowed your emotions to create a reaction to something that your thoughts can simply form a response to based on that thought. Now, the second myth is people believe that boundaries are the same for everyone and every situation. Not at all. Every boundary you set is different. It is not cookie cutter, or there may be some standard ones. For instance, I don't answer the phone after 9 p.m. That's a standard one, but it doesn't necessarily apply to each individual. You may have someone that you don't mind if they call you after 9 o'clock. But if there are those people that do, this is a side note, make sure you let them know, oh, I don't accept calls or I don't respond to texts after 9 p.m. And that's something you can put in a text, a global text that you're sending to everyone. It could be at the end of a text message, or it could just be part of a voice message or a return text that people receive. That way, you're not disrespecting anyone, and when they feel like, oh, they're not calling me back, and then they start to get reactionary based on their emotions, their feelings being hurt. So that's just something to eliminate some of the drama that may ensue as a result of not being clear on your standard boundaries. So, when you set boundaries, these boundaries are based on individual people or individual situations. Let me give you an example. The boundary that I set with family members may be different than the boundaries that I set with friends. Even within family, there's different boundaries. We have different ages of children. So that means that one boundary is going to be different from another based on the person because that person is an individual. That person has different personality, different likes, different dislikes, different mannerisms, and different gifts. So we want to make sure we're mindful of that and know what they are when we're setting boundaries with them. Let me give you an example. Oftentimes, my children, they're adult children, and oftentimes they'll talk to me, and sometimes they get a little too comfortable. And in their response to me, they may yell, they may snap. Well, that person then is acting or reacting off of their emotion. And what I do as a boundary is I remind them of who it is that they're talking to, and I say, stop for a moment. Because I got emotional and was ready to clap back when they got emotional and snapped at me. And what I have to remember is what my role is and who I am. And I can let them know, hold up, don't forget who you're talking to. And then we proceed from there. So that's an example of a boundary that I set with one person that I might not set with another that's a family member. That's not to say that any family member can raise their voice at me, but how I respond to them will be totally different. If they're younger, I might step back and be quiet for a minute until they realize that they were out of line. So think about who it is that you're talking to and what's the best way to get that boundary across to someone, even if they're different. In a situation, the situation may be different, whereas someone may approach you with a question or a request and you're uncomfortable with it. Now, someone else may ask you the same question and you might be okay. But if someone's repeatedly asking you the same request, that's when it's up to you, unlike what you do for anybody else, is let them know that this is not something that you're willing to do. And you might want to be a little honest with them and let them know, you've asked me this a couple times and I've helped you out, but there seems to be a need for you to really consider the question that you're asking me and if there might be someone else that can help you with that, because I've done it many times that I'm at the point where I'm not going to be doing it anymore. I'm not able to do it anymore. I can't do it anymore. Whichever one you choose, you have to make sure that you make it clear with this individual, especially if it's repeated, that they come to you with the same request, that you let them know this is not something that I'm going to be able to honor at this time. And let me give you another tip. If you are willing to do it, but you just feel a little frustrated because of the timing, maybe, then you let them know, you know what, this is really not a good time for me to answer that for you or to respond to that or to even honor that. Why don't you give me some time and I'll get back to you and let you know if this is something I'm going to be able to do in the future. You see what I mean? It's giving you an opportunity to take control back, to take the reins, and you be the one that makes the decision on what happens in the situation, and that other person is not. I don't care who it is. As long as you're being honest, you're not being reactive, you're being firm, you don't have to be loud, you don't have to get into this emotional upheaval because of something that was said. You just be calm, you step back and you think about it and you say, I'm really not going to be able to do that right now. And here's the other thing. You don't have to give a reason why. You really don't. And if someone comes at you and they say, well, why? You just get quiet and you say, I'm not going to be able to do it. Now, here's an option that I have for you. And you go from there. Simple. Yeah, that's simple. Third myth is that boundaries are selfish. Boundaries are mean. If someone has told you that boundaries are selfish, it's because they're not willing to honor your boundaries or they're just not used to you setting them. Boundaries are a safe space. The myth is that they're unsafe. They are safe for everyone. Actually, they help you to build stronger, more respectful relationships. And another thing is when you first meet someone, this is a really good time to set healthy boundaries. A lot of times we'll be friends with someone and later down the line, they will assume that they can do certain things or treat us a certain way. And that's fine because you're getting to know that person. But right when it happens, there's a book that I read once. It's called 1 Minute Manager. And what that basically means is that when someone does something, you nip it in the bud right away. And it doesn't have to be loud. It doesn't, and it can be, this can be for everyone. You just let them know as soon as you're not comfortable with something that's being said or done that you're addressing it at that time. It can be very calm. And you don't have to do it right away. You know, a lot of times we want to set boundaries with someone, and those boundaries are based on our reactions, but we really haven't taken the time to think it through. So, taking it for another 24 hours and thinking through it and saying, you know what, I really am not comfortable with that. Because if it's sitting with you for 24 hours, most chances are you are not comfortable with it. I had a situation at a job once, and the receptionist made a comment as we were having a conversation. It was right before I was leaving from work. And the comment she made was pretty derogatory to me. Actually, it was a bit racist. Actually, it was racist. And I was leaving, and I wasn't comfortable with saying anything. But as the night went on, I was reeling. I was reeling. I couldn't stop thinking about it. And I think I even slept. I started dreaming about it or something. And when I woke up in the next morning, I was still thinking about it. Now, if something is taking over your mind like that, it's something that needs to be addressed. So I knew I was uncomfortable saying something, but I had to say it. That's just who I am. I had to say it. And so when I got to work, when she came in, she said hello. We did our greetings. And I said to her, you know, there was a comment you made yesterday right before you left, and I'm really not comfortable with it. And I wanted to share it with you so you could understand why I wasn't uncomfortable with it. I shared it with her, told her what my thoughts were about it, then tell her my feelings about it because I had thought through it. Even though my feelings came out, I communicated my feelings about it. I didn't show my feelings about it. That was based on the thought that I had as I thought through it. And you know what she said? She said, "Oh my gosh, I am so sorry. I did not mean that. I apologize. I feel so bad. That is not something that I meant to say." And I let her know that that's okay. I just wanted to make sure that you understood how it came across so that wasn't a statement that you would make to someone like me anymore or make at all. So there you have it. There's an example of what happens. You don't have to say it right away, but if it's something that stays with you for a while, understand there's something that needs to be addressed. Okay? That's myth number 3. Myth number 4. If someone's upset about my boundary, then it must be wrong. No, that just means that someone is not used to you setting boundaries or that boundary is not something that they want to honor. We have to be very clear, and that's where the emotion has to be set aside because the person that's responding to your boundary is not responding, they are reacting to your boundary. And here's the bottom line. If someone's not willing to accept your boundary and honor and respect that boundary, then you have to question how much time you're spending with that person. I'm not saying that you have to totally detach from that person, but in your mind, you have to know that this is a person that's not willing to honor me or my boundaries, and then you act accordingly. Want to know how to do that? Well, that's what I do. I help people to understand how to set boundaries in their relationships, in their any situation that they're in. And at the end, you're going to get a chance to schedule yourself a 15-minute complimentary session with me just to look at any situations that you're dealing with, that you're challenged with, that I can help you with. Okay, so that is myth number 4. Whenever we think that somebody is not happy with our boundary, we think that we have to back up, we have to back down. No, we don't. As long as we've taken the steps that we need to do, as I mentioned before, to step back, let emotions subside, and then decide. When we think through it, then we are confident in the decision we make on the boundary that we set, and it doesn't matter who likes it or not. Now, myth number 5. This is one of the biggest myths, and that is that you setting boundaries is going to fix people. That you communicating your boundaries is going to change people. That it's going to change the way that someone talks to you or behaves towards you. It doesn't, because remember, boundaries are not for them. Boundaries are for you. And the only people that boundaries are going to change is you. And it's going to change you because you understand your value, your worth, and what you deserve and what you don't feel that you deserve. If you ever feel like you're being dishonored or disrespected or anything like that, then it's up to you to communicate that and set that boundary. So there you have it. You have 5 myths about setting healthy boundaries. Now you know that those are myths. You understand your value and your worth and what you have the right to do. And you do it for your own peace, for your own joy, for your own satisfaction, and to eliminate drama in your life. If these have been helpful for you, go ahead and put it in the comments. Which of the myths are something that you believed in the past, and how do you plan on understanding boundaries and setting boundaries in the future as a result of that myth, or understanding that, the healthy boundaries? And understand that I am here for you. Again, I have complimentary sessions that I will do for you to help you to look at a certain challenge that you're having with setting a boundary, and how I can help you to resolve that issue, not for them, but for you. If you are really questioning whether you need boundaries or whether you're good with boundaries, then I want you to click the link below, because in the link below, I'm giving you 5 signs that your boundaries need a checkup. All right, so go ahead and click that link and get access to that PDF that I've created for you. And then when you look at that, you might say, you know what? I really do need to talk to my boundaries coach. And you go ahead and click the other link, schedule a time, then we can do my complimentary session with you to help you to work through any of the challenges that you may be experiencing. It's been so wonderful talking to you and helping and sharing this information with you. And don't forget to click that button and subscribe and like. And also don't forget, leave me some comments on how this information has been helpful for you. Again, this is Pamela Bird, your boundaries coach. And let's talk boundaries, shall we?